Oh, hey guys. So this is the Operator Starsky interview. Andre and I have become very good friends, and I met him through Max, as some of you guys know from Flashback, and I met Max through Dimitri. So Ukraine's just one big village. So this is what a medical rotation's like. Waiting, and we did some good work today. But now that I have time, I've got some of the interviews saved up with some of the people I like most here. So I hope you'll enjoy. This is Operator Starsky. So did you smoke cigarettes before, or did you just go straight to those?
We all started smoking on February 24th, actually.
So you never smoked before that?
No, I did. I quit. I was going to gym, I was training and shit like that, but everybody started smoking again, those who quit. Yeah, there are people who never smoked, like our master sergeant, sergeant. How do you spell it?
Sergeant?
Sergeant. And our brigade commander, he never smoked as well. And yeah, I admire people who smoked, then quit, and never started it again.
During full-scale invasion.
Yeah.
That's mental if you think about that, because I came to that conclusion. I was going to die. I honestly believe that we'd be dead in a month or two here, and so I started smoking. How many people do you think have made that decision?
Many thousand people, and to me it is crazy because Ukraine wasn't popular, even though we weren't much different than any other country. I would say we weren't much different from Poland, for example, Czech Republic, Slovakia. But again, I blame bad marketing because we weren't popular for some reason. And
marketing.
Yeah, and now it's so crazy to see so many people talking about Ukraine, helping Ukraine, coming to Ukraine. It's unbelievable. It's very pleasant, but still, it's hard to believe that it actually happens.
April 29th, I started my Instagram account, and it was just simply go broke and go home and be anonymous, or take it as far as I could take it, just to buy helmets. But it's turned into something. All of a sudden, I meet up with these kids, and I was really uncomfortable because they really looked up to me. I've always struggled with people who have met me from the internet in Ukraine that haven't just met me naturally. And he says to me, he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe, Brandon, I've met you, Swampy, and Operator Starsky all in 1 week." And I'm like, "Well, I know Swampy. Who the fuck is Operator Starsky?"
Who the fuck is Oleg?
Who the fuck is Oleg? Who the hell is Operator Starsky? I was like, yeah, all right.
I tell you this, the most amazing thing about like other people who come to Ukraine, not only them, about people in general, those who support Ukraine. We have the saying that Ukraine is a big village, and everybody knows everybody, actually. So the most amazing thing is that not only we have a lot of supporters, we also made a lot of good friends, like Oleg, for example.
Yeah.
I'm sure that after this war is finished, we will be like drinking like pigs somewhere. I'm sure that I gotta train my liver because I will be drinking a lot with people from all kinds of countries.
Because you don't drink now in the war, do you?
I don't.
No.
I think that I will be drinking like I don't know, tomato juice maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Since you've done an interview with me, people are so happy. Brandon, I'm so happy you got to meet Starsky. Those comments are full of love for you, for Futch.
Yeah.
Mostly for fashion.
Mostly for him, yeah.
But before all that, though, like, what was it like with your dad? I served 3 months with 1st Armoured Brigade, Pesha. You talk in high regard about your dad. Tell me about your dad, like a bit about growing up with him. Could you tell me a bit about his army service in the Soviet Union?
Yeah, sure.
Please.
He served in Persha Tankova before it became Persha Tankova. Actually, I was born in Honcharivske. It's not far from Chernihiv. It's where Persha Tankova is stationed.
Yes.
And he was commander of a tank company, I think.
Tank squadron, you call them?
Yeah, armored company. And he's legendary, actually.
Your old man's a legend.
Because in 1986, when Chernobyl happened,
yes,
Soviet soldiers were brought to Chernobyl, and the reason why soldiers were brought to Chernobyl because Soviet army was prepared for nuclear warfare. That's why they knew how to operate in such conditions of radioactive contamination and stuff. So my father was among the first soldiers who entered the roof of the destroyed fourth reactor of the Chernobyl power plant. I'm proud of this. He is not, because almost all his regiment died already due to different diseases inflicted by radiation.
Over the years, they died.
Yeah. Basically, he's among survivors, but there are so few of them left. He was a peacekeeper in Armenia in Soviet times. Then in modern times, he was again among first peacekeepers in former Yugoslavia.
As Ukraine is an independent country.
Yeah,
he served in both armies, the Soviet and the Ukrainian army.
And when Ukraine became independent, he started working in Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and he put a lot of effort into creating modern armed forces of Ukraine. Also he put a lot of effort into eliminated, not physically, but eliminating all kinds of pro-Russian movements in Ukrainian army, because there were a lot of them. Those Russians who served in Soviet army on the territory of Ukraine, and they had their houses and stuff, because again, if you're a Russian, you have privilege, and they didn't want to leave, but they didn't want to learn Ukrainian language. Also, they didn't care much about developing this army. They just wanted to finish their career and have pension and stuff. So my dad put a lot of effort to make sure that they receive their pension in Russia, not in Ukraine. And this makes me proud of my dad, actually. He had 2 deployments in former Yugoslavia, by the way, as a press officer. Basically, he made 2 documentaries about Ukrainian battalion of peacekeepers. It was prior to KFOR.
KFOR, yeah.
Yeah, it was prior to that. It was called UN Profor, United Nations Protection Forces, and Ukrainian battalion that was stationed in Sarajevo.
Right.
Yeah. My dad made 2 documentaries about them for Ukrainian television.
So this is in the 90s up until the early 2000s even?
Yeah.
He was still in... When did he retire?
Something like 2000... something around 2000s. I don't remember.
Are you okay?
Yeah, very, very long time ago.
Sure, sure. I know you look up to your father a lot, just the way you talk about him. And if I have a father in Ukraine, his name is Igor Petrovich, and he's a career army surgeon in Pershefankova, and he has been the commander of medical missions for United Nations in Yemen, in Lebanon, and in Zaporizhia front. I served in him under a heavy battle, and he made me feel welcome. He understood long before this war the importance of cooperation with the West. And it sounds like your father was part of that. You know, he was one of those people.
Yeah, I can tell you that Ukrainians who served in multinational missions, right, together with the United Nations, they are different because culturally Ukrainians are kind of tough and grumpy, and stuff like that.
A few blockheads I've had to deal with.
But those who meet their colleagues from other armies in terms of multiple mission or stuff like that, they change.
They're really forward-thinking people.
And my dad was among those people. He learned a lot from his colleagues from other armies.
And it rubbed off on you. I think it was Johnny asked you once, I heard, how did you learn to speak such good English? And you said YouTube.
Yeah.
What did you study when you were in school? You went through schooling in Chernihiv Oblast? Or
I went to my elementary school in Honchariivsk. Then we moved to Kiev, and basically I spent most of my life here.
What were your interests in school? What did you study? Did you go on to university? What was your passion?
My passion was music, basically. I had a rock band and stuff.
What sort of rock did you listen to? I've always been, my rock went through a progression from The Doors to Led Zeppelin. I followed chronology up through the years from classic rock.
I was into Nirvana.
Yeah.
It's grunge, but so among my favorites were Nirvana, Metallica, Iron Maiden, of course.
Yes.
And Scorpions.
Very good.
And then some heavier stuff like Sepultura and Napalm Death and things like that.
Are you into the Ukrainian metal scene?
Yeah.
It's quite a big scene here,
we have Ginger, worldwide known. Ginger, Space of Variations, Hell On, White Word, and a lot of good bands. Starsky.
Of course. Before you joined the army, what year was it you joined the army?
2000, end of 2014.
End of 2014. What did you do before that? Because you and I'm 36, you're 37, aren't you? So what did you do before that?
I was a civilian. I worked as a communications person in different organizations like the World Bank Group, projects of the United States Agency for International Development, different TV channels, strategy communication agencies and stuff like that. Basically that was my passion.
Yes.
Right? Communications, music, living for myself. Everything changed with the revolution because
in Maidan, that's when.
The Maidan.
Tell me about it.
Actually, I participated in two revolutions. First one that happened in 2004, the Orange Revolution.
Yeah.
I was among the...
So you're 18 years old and ready to go.
Yeah, I was with the security forces. And second time, when it all started, Again, I was inspired by people because before 2013, I even planned to move to, I don't know, Australia, maybe Canada.
Yeah.
Find a good job and, I don't know, discover the world.
Be part of the diaspora.
Yeah, but as soon as it started, the war started, and I realized that there's a lot of my friends that are still here and they will stay here no matter what, and they don't care whether I'm here with them or somewhere abroad, with my family maybe. But if I'm here, it will be easier for them. Maybe I can help somehow. And I realized that I will stay here no matter what until this war is finished. My relatives, my brother, my mother, they live in Australia, and they tried to convince me to go to Australia.
Pretty tempting.
Yeah, I can say so, but I will not go anywhere until this war is finished.
Absolutely. No.
Basically, my contract is gonna end in March, and if the war continues, I will continue my service until it's finished.
So, when you joined the army, you're roughly about 30 years old.
Something like that.
What was that like, throwing away a career in communications and then joining the infantry?
It was kind of cool. Prior to this, I knew that I'm not gonna become this tactical dude.
No, but you're part of a pretty respectable unit.
Yeah, but I had to do this, and I realized that basically everybody can do this because our main force is not in our muscles; it's here. We have this very, very tough selection program.
Yeah.
And during almost a week, we had to make thousands of push-ups, and we had to run a lot, like tens of kilometers per day with a huge load.
Were you always fit before that?
Not really. Well, I liked boxing, for example.
Of course.
But that moment when we were doing like thousands of push-ups, the sergeant that was observing this selection program, he said, guys, it's not about your muscles, it's like what's in your mind. If your mind is strong enough, you will do those push-ups. It doesn't depend on your physical shape. And it was true completely.
Yeah.
Because after I became a sergeant, I realized that it's true.
I never had those abilities growing up. Growing up with my grandparents, I was never encouraged to sport. I love my boxing too, but when I joined the army, I was essentially pretty weak compared to some other guys. But it wasn't. I guess people don't really understand that it's those who want to will.
Yeah.
And you went through your training. How long was your training till you were in your brigade?
4 months. So 4 months until my first company was formed. Then another 4 months when I was training my second company as a sergeant. And we also participated in like plenty, international exercise, like military exercises, like Rapid Trident.
Yeah.
2016, 2018, and yeah.
What sort of countries did you get to work with?
Oh my God, so many of them. So there were Polish, there were American, British, Irish even.
Yep.
Yeah, I met a lot of people from Irish regiment.
Yes.
Of the UK.
And the Irish Rangers, did you meet any of those guys?
No, but I met a lot of Canadians, by the way.
Right.
And Canadians were awesome. So they gave us this knowledge about EODs, demining and stuff like that. And they were like open and friendly people. And comparing to all other guys, they were great.
Yeah.
But I think we had a lot of things in common with Canadians, because there's a lot of Ukrainians among there's a very, very big Ukrainian diaspora in Canada. So
that goes back about 150 years.
Oh yeah.
In Saskatchewan. That's interesting, because one of my friends was from 2CER from Edmonton, and they came 2nd Combat Engineering Regiment, and they did a 6-month tour here, training your guys. And he told me the Ukrainians soaked it up like a sponge. They wanted to know everything about everything that Canada had learned in Afghanistan.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2021, Canadian serviceman from Unifier. There's this military training mission called Unifier between Canada and Ukraine. Their servicemen were training my brigade, specifically infantry battalions, in terms of urban combat, tactical medicine, EODs again, and after that we had international military exercise with NATO armies.
Yeah.
Then we had plenty of trainings last year, which helped us a lot, by the way.
What do you care to talk a bit about some of your operations in the past? We've got a few things in common. We'll get to that one in a bit. But I know Novolugansk quite well. I know Kodema. You've operated there, Svitlodarsk.
Yeah. Kodema, Zaitsevo, of course.
Yeah.
Zaitsevo was
anywhere between This is south for anybody watching here. Basically, southeast of Bakhmut.
Yeah, southeast of Bakhmut. We operated mostly between Zaitsevo and Makarev. Yeah, I think Makarev was our most distant.
That was like the closest to Mayorsk, to the demarcation line.
Yeah, and we operated in and not far from Dolomit. It's next to Novolugansk. So in Dolomit, and there's this huge pig farm.
Yeah.
And one of our units was stationed there, and sometimes they would visit our headquarters. When I was there, I could recognize them by smell.
Yes.
Yeah, because
pig shit has a god awful smell. Horse shit is nice.
Yeah. Horse shit is nice, but yeah, I completely agree with you. And next to their base, there was this crematorium where they burned those corpses.
Yeah.
And the
nice.
smell. Oh yeah, I remember that I spent like a couple of weeks at that pig farm, and my sleeping bag still smells like the pig farm.
No, it's crazy to me to think about it. You've been to all them places, and like Novolugansk for me is like the asshole of the earth.
Yeah.
It's not on the way to anywhere. Across the lake is Svitlodarsk, and that was Russian, and it's just an old Soviet town. Like I don't want to live there. I don't want to know anyone there. It's you spent a lot of time in those areas.
Yeah, Svitlodarsk was Ukrainian back then.
Okay.
It was under our control. So this lake looks like pants.
Yeah.
So everything.
And there's the power generating plant.
Yeah. Everything about those pants, including Svitlodarsk, was Ukrainian. And where there are balls, usually, there were like Russian positions. And we were there since 2017. That's when we were shelled for the first time. that's when we shot at Russians for the first time. Was kind of cool.
But was it around that area that
Yeah.
that girl came out very sad?
Yeah, she was very sad. It's a long story.
Do I tell mine first or do you tell yours?
As you wish.
Yeah, all right. So your friend Max, our friend Max, Vova and Dima, I don't know if we were coming back from Bakhmut or somewhere, and it was around a block post coming into Kramatorsk, and we could see a red light in the sky, and the cops were out in front of us, so they were yelling, "Suka blia," and all of a sudden we get out to look at the red light. It's a drone in the air.
Yeah.
And then the cops just start going full automatic with Sushkas into the black sky. They ain't hitting shit. But I'm the only one with a red spot on my rifle with a. So Dima's got a shotgun. There's Max, Vova. Everybody's blasting into the air. Within about, it was my third or fourth shot, it went down, and it was my first kill of the war. And I felt pretty good at myself. You know, I finally, it's not an orc, it's not a Peter, but it's their drone.
Yeah.
And the cops start approaching it like it's Rainbow Six, you know, like crawling towards it with a rifle. I was like, guys, it's dead.
Yeah.
You know, and we go look at the drone, and they're like, and then all of a sudden some guy comes out of the tree line, Suka blia. I shot a Ukrainian drone. This was a perfect time. Like my friend Nika says, Brandon, it's a shame you don't speak Ukrainian, but sometimes I think it's great. And I just looked at them, well, guys, I don't speak Ukrainian. Do побачення, no dobronich.
Yeah, the drone didn't say Slava Ukrainian. Right?
No, it didn't. But once the cops were shooting, that was a free-for-all for us.
Yeah.
What about you? What happened to you?
2017. Almost exactly 5 years ago. It was in November, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We were deployed at the Svetlodarsk Bulge, and I was in charge of my platoon that was stationed at those positions. And one time, our electrician came to our positions. He wanted to connect our positions to a power source. They were connected, but they were using that small cord for topics. Topics are field telephones.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah.
The linesman.
Yeah.
With the rolls.
Yeah. But those wires, they can be used to charge, your positions. They only allow something like 150 volts, which is not enough to even boil water or stuff. So he brought cables that were snow white, that were seen from a freaking space, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he disconnected our positions from the power source, and they were left like that for a whole night. So eventually our radio stations died.
Yeah.
Early in the morning, I woke up to those beepings of dying radio stations. I thought, oh shit, we gotta charge them, So I went straight to that position where our electrician was sleeping, together with our battalion sergeant, right? And I woke them up and said that we gotta do something because my radios don't work, we'll have problems. So I helped them to unwrap those cords and drag them to the power source and stuff. And at some point we noticed like some buzzing sound, and we looked at the sky, we saw that drone flying.
Yeah. Like
a quadricopter. And I was like, and to me it seems as if it arrived from that side, from the other side. And I was like, "Oh, take a look at that!" And my colleague, the battalion sergeant, and like I so much love this dude because he was into those not like veganism but Vedic culture, you know,
Okay.
Indian culture. So he never ate meat, and when we were eating our MREs, he would always give me his meat. So,
Nice.
yeah, so he was my very very good friend, and he was always calm, like a rock, and he was like, "Oh, take a look at that, the enemy drone." And it was 6 a.m. in the morning. I was still sleeping. So I was like, if I wasn't sure that that was an enemy drone, I was like, "Oh, yeah, now I think it's an enemy drone." And he's like, "Can you shoot him down?" I'm like, "I think so." He's like, "No, I don't think you can." I'm like, "Watch this." So I take my AK-74. I'm like, "Poo, poo, poo." I think 5 shots max.
Yeah.
It went down. And he was like, "We gotta take the flash card. We will get awarded." And I'm like, "Oh my god." So we rushed towards this drone
Yeah.
where we saw a couple of very, very sad drone operators from the armed forces of Ukraine. And this girl, she was upset, of course, obviously, and she said, "You're a goddamn sniper." It was like the last working drone in the 59th Brigade. I was like, "Sorry." So they messaged everybody through radio that the drone was supposed to fly that morning, but of course my radio stations were off. And my platoon commander called. He said, "Andrei, how did it happen?" I said, "Oh, before that." So we saw those drone operators, and they were like cursing, and you know, I turned around to speak to this battalion sergeant, my friend, and he freaking disappeared, like you know, in the movie Predator. He just turned on that regime and boo. And yeah, and my platoon commander.
Shit rolls downhill.
Yeah, my platoon commander called. He's like, "Andrew, how did it happen?" I'm like, "Come on, you know that I'm the best shooter in my battalion."
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's like, "Is it expensive?" I'm like, "Maybe $3,000." He's like, "Okay, we will collect money, you know." And my guys, they were smoking, watching all this show, and they were like, "Good shot, Commander." I'm like, "Thank you," and they were laughing, and I was laughing too because I told them how much money we should, you know, give out for that. So they stopped laughing. Yeah, and the coolest thing is after that, I have this, you know, like patch with my last name.
No.
So my last name was attached to the wall of fame in my anti-air battalion, in my brigade.
Well, that's something I don't understand how it works, but in the Ukrainian army, it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto. You can unlock achievements,
Yeah,
and they're not for good things.
yeah.
You know, like I know you can unlock the planetary defense achievement, and that's if you haven't slept and you're in a trench and you see a satellite at night and you mistake it as a drone,
Yeah.
and you start shooting and identify your position because you're so tired and you're shooting at a satellite, mate.
Yeah, astronauts have absolutely no idea how many times they were shot at in Ukraine.
That happened a lot, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess I won't ask you about what other amazing achievements or insane stunts you've pulled.
Oh, there were a lot of them. It was the year of the Eurovision in Ukraine, actually, and I was gonna go there, but
You were gonna sing.
I was gonna watch.
Okay.
It was my dream to visit Eurovision. Never,
Sure. Lots
never
of pretty
happened.
girls there. Why not?
Yeah. Never happened because I got freaking deployed, and Eurovision was like 2 blocks away from my house in Kyiv. I was at the Donbass, and I hated Russians for that so much. So every time we had some kind of shootout, I would shoot RPG with words that were usually written on the rocket, saying, "This is for Eurovision, you motherfuckers." I was mad. I missed Eurovision because of that.
Yeah.
This year too, by the way.
I remember Eurovision this year. I never watched it before. And I think it happened around May 14th, May 15th. Because that was my first battle in Ukraine, in Zaporizhia front. And the next day we got some signal on my phone, like a little bit of 3G, and Ukraine won Eurovision.
Yeah.
And I was so cynical. It's probably, I don't know, 500 men died the night before in that attack, Ukrainians. And we win a fucking song contest.
Yeah.
But I don't mean to be, it's just nice to say that at least somebody likes Eurovision.
I'm sure that this victory was rather political, but not in the bad way, because I'm very happy that such contests, such huge events, they can also reflect what people think. They can also influence political situation in the world, which is very, very important.
Keeps us in the spotlight.
Yeah, exactly.
If the cameras stop in Ukraine, we die.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. So fast forward now, full scale invasion. What's it like? How long have you been press officer now?
For 4 years.
It's just mental, like, 'cause essentially that those were all skills that you learned in the civilian world, to go to combat, infantry, and then more or less in uniform.
Yeah. I had a blog on a Facebook.
You were quite popular on Facebook one time, weren't you?
Kinda. I'm on Ukrainian audience, of course. I had a blog on Facebook, and it was my blessing and a curse at the same time, because nobody knew that I ran this Facebook, but it was kind of popular, and reposted a lot by Ukrainian media. The moment my command learned that I was the owner of this Facebook, they made me a press officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to say goodbye to my infantry battalion and start doing it like professionally,
Of course.
which I don't know. On the other hand, though, again, I think that my skills cannot be compared to those that my guys have. And of course, they're much stronger than me, both physically and mentally, and they can make much better soldiers than me. I admit it. So probably we all do what we can do best.
Do you struggle with like that not being there with them?
Not really, because we are where we are told to be. If there's an attack in the northern part of Ukraine from Belarus, we will be there because we are in reserve right now.
Yeah.
Same with Hostomel, we were deployed there, and we were protecting base and the airport, and we do what we are told to do because this is the army. It doesn't work like, you cannot tell your commander that you want to go to the most dangerous spot of the front line and fight in the trench and stuff like that. And you also cannot tell him that you don't want to go to the front lines if you are sent.
Of course.
Yeah, you cannot tell him that, you know, like I prefer staying like in the rear. No, it's if you are in the military, you go wherever you are told to go.
Well, I'm a member of UDA, and when you're on rotation, there's no saying no. But after your rotation, you can choose to go on rotation again.
Yeah.
You don't get paid, but sometimes that bothers me. In Hospitalieri, I'm probably one of the better drivers they have. Oleg Dasha was a race car driver, and I'm a decent medic. I'm probably one of the better shots because it's a medical battalion. But selfishly, I want to do rotations again, and I want to do rotations in Bakhmut.
Yeah.
I want to do I don't want to go to Kherson. I definitely don't want to go to Zaporizhia front. I want to be in Donbass on those. But at the same time, name a Ukrainian in my battalion that can raise the money I can and do the thing. I feel good about what we do, but when the war's over, you know, you're doing some, you do more in front of the computer screen than that bloody rifle can do. That's a fact.
I guess so. But I'm also good at shooting.
Yeah. That just blows my mind in this war, because I've got this NATO reference of growing up, Afghanistan, Iraq, the almighty infantry, and it is the almighty infantry, but this is total war. And there's so many fronts. There's the IT front, there's the volunteers from Lviv to Dnipro to Kramatorsk to... you know who one of the biggest heroes is right now? Shinomontage. The tire guys in Donbass are like
technicians, tire guys, yeah, medics, of course.
Yeah, if you can work on a car and you can work on a body.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, what a pleasure this has been. We first met through Max, and we did the interview in Hostomel, and you're really talented at what you do.
I'm a good storyteller, I admit it. Sometimes I receive commentaries from Russian trolls saying, why you are not on the front lines helping your buddies? Guys, you don't want to see me at the front lines because I'm a fucking good shooter. Probably one of the best in my brigades. But I will be there if I'm told. On the other hand, yes, what I do in front of my computer is I'm good at storytelling, and I'm trying to deliver truth of what happens in Ukraine to the international community and communicate with people. And I love communicating with people. They're great. That's how we make friends. That's how we make supporters and stuff like that. It's awesome. I'm always inspired by my viewers.
It's like how people say, oh, you can't say the word propaganda, you can't say the word. I said, why can't I? Russian propaganda is lies. Ukrainian propaganda is tell the truth.
Yes, because
when you tell Bogdan's story, when you tell my story, when you tell, we have so many good stories. They just need to be told.
The difference between Ukrainian and Russian propaganda is that Ukrainian propaganda is actually what's usually called public relations. That's what we do. Propaganda is basically spreading lies, brainwashing. That's what Russians do. That's how they raise their generations of zombies, right? And our mission is to deliver truth to people and make friends. And judging from the international support of Ukraine, I think that we're doing this job well. We cannot compare Ukrainian propaganda, okay?
I just like the word.
Yeah. We cannot compare it to Russian propaganda because Russians developed propaganda. They had their institutions that were developed back in, I would say, 20s, 30s. Those revolutionaries who made this Bolshevik revolution in Russia possible.
From the Ukraine to the KGB.
They were so
NKVD.
They were so professional that Stalin had to eliminate them eventually because they could be dangerous for the Soviet Union, right? They could unite and create those uprisings using people, using masses. And Russia has multiple institutions for decades that specifically develop and implement propaganda and informational warfare. Ukraine doesn't have that.
We couldn't do it even if we wanted to.
Yeah, if Ukraine had some kind of propagandist institutions, they would not be even able to compare to what Russia has. With their media, with all their myths implemented into everything, their culture, their music videos, their books, movies, of course, and things like that. That's why our task is to use whatever we can, whatever channels we can, to deliver information to people, not just deliver information, to communicate with people in a way that, in the same way as every professional PR specialist do.
Well, you certainly put a human side to it.
Yeah.
And we use every resource we've got here in Ukraine, and Fudge. he certainly helps the cause, doesn't he?
He does. He owns my YouTube channel, actually.
God, I love that dog.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for your time here. Since we've met, you've been nothing but gold to me. You treat me, you're my friend, and you've really looked out for me.
Thank you for being here, bro.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere yet. We've got a war to finish.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, camera off. Now we can get drunk as fuck.
All right.